So already started this Native American fancy dancer. It's a portrait of a person in a fancy regalia of lots of flowing ribbons and really bright colors. It looks like this, and uh, and so I was just I love the movement, the action, and the composition's pretty stagnant. He's somewhat in the center. I should have got him off the side just a little more and made this larger, but we'll see how this goes for now. I'll probably increase the size of some of these ribbons and make them flow up more, but it's just a pretty simple portrait. I think it's just going to be just a fun playing around with color and movement on this one. So I'm having fun with getting the colors here just right, and trying to add some nice, fun, bright colors into this painting. And it's, I'm enjoying all the patterns here more than usual. But I'm getting the face kind of all set. I've been putting lots of strong reds and oranges and stuff into the face to create, the different planes, and it's working out pretty well. Adding a few cool colors here. I've got this blue that I can mix into that and modify it just a little bit. It's, I want this to be colorful. I want it to be way over the top, I think. And I need to do that in the face besides in the rest of the figure out here and in different areas. So I'm really pushing it to an extreme. So today I'm working on ribbons and some of the headdress stuff and things like that, and trying to figure out the values and colors in the ribbons, and just working out all the different little issues. I have a few updates to do on the face, I think, but not much. I'm pretty happy with how that's turning out, and everything else is starting to pull together. It's just just slow going, doing one little piece at a time, trying to get a good value and a good color value, and trying to decide if ribbons are going to be warm or cool, and things to try to get some sense of movement and action in painting. But it's looking pretty good so far. So I'm working through all the ribbons and the headdress and everything that's going on in this fancy dancer, and I'm just still working out a lot of the detail. There's a lot going on here, and I'm just trying to figure out what I want to use to create a sense of light and besides motion, and it's just taking a lot of time fooling around with this. It's probably take me the rest of the day trying to get that section to all work with each other. But it's really kind of exciting. It's fun. Then I'll probably have to leave things dry a little bit, and then I'll add highlights in to to create even more light. But I'll need to really work on negative space pretty soon here. So this is how far I've gotten so far. I worked on lots of the ribbons and the decoration and the headpiece, trying to decide, what areas are going to be warm shadows, what areas can be cool shadows. I'm still working on some of those issues. Then I decided to just work my way down around the figure and just try to figure out a lot of just blocking out all the different colors and areas, and then I'll probably go back over the top and rework those. But it's looking pretty good so far. I'm pretty happy with most of it. Getting there. So I've got pretty much the first layer of all the color on here that I want, and I'll come back and add some more as we go, but I really need to deal with the negative space. I kind of want this whole flowing of the figure to be in clouds, so it's I'll probably have some trees here. I'll keep these as trees, but I want a lot of flowing clouds in the background. Partly to simplify the background because this is so busy. One of the problems of doing these fancy dancers is the color is too strong. The color is just overwhelming, and so I have to tone it down just a little bit to get it to work, but I still want the strong color. I just need to make it so you can look at it, otherwise it just becomes overwhelming. And so I want to have some nice, beautiful, kind of neutral gray clouds going in the background, maybe with some warm colors in the clouds. And then I'm going to try to keep the trees in here fairly warm. But it's looking pretty good. Then I need to go over the top of everything, put highlights in, because the highlights are still too dark. I've got some areas where I need to add detail, but it's coming along. It's just about, it's gonna start speeding up as I go here. Things are gonna go a lot faster now that I have all this detail working, and I'll be able to tell, what I can do with the background. But right now the background's too white, and so I need to put a value here, and then I can deal with the sense of light on the figure here and try to increase that or decrease it as I need. So I threw in some value into the sky. It's helping to be able to see how the figure looks, and so I can see where I need to add some highlights and stuff. But I'm enjoying how the sky adds more, of a grand view of this portrait, and so it's coming along nice. It just helps to be able to see. If you go back in the video, you can see all this white, and then now that I have it some value in there, it makes a huge difference in how you see the figure. So it totally changes all the color here to have the sky in, and I'm going to add some trees and some bushes down here, and probably trees over in this corner, and that'll pull everything together. And once I have that done, then I can go in and adjust things and add detail and add highlights and adjust the value in some areas, and so I have lots of detail I still need to do here, and it's all coming along. It's looking pretty good. So it really helped just to get something in here. I'll probably have to do this sky a second time to add more drama. I want a little more drama there. It's fairly simple is what I was going for originally, but I want to add a few highlights and stuff, and so I'll have to let that set up just a little bit before I can add another layer to it. It's looking good. Okay, so I laid in some of the tree colors. I'll have to work detail into that more. I just kind of blocked out light and dark areas in the trees and tried to get some sky color coming through. But I have a layer over everything. Now I need to go back over a lot of the stuff and bring up highlights. I've got spots here that I don't have detail in yet. But, so now it's just a matter of going over adjusting color. Some of this I need to knock down. Some of these are too bright in these shadow areas, so I need to add the complementary color into that, and that'll help flatten that a little bit. Similar to here, this is, so this reads as yellow, but it's the same yellow here, it's just that it's in shadow, so I need to adjust those shadow colors and highlight colors and kind of work over the whole canvas yet, and then I need to work back into the sky a little bit, and it's coming along, and we're getting closer and closer to finishing this. Looking great. So I'm getting pretty much to a finished state in this. I don't know if you can tell from the last video section how much it's changed. I've added lots of detail to the ribbons. I decided that I really needed to have warm shadows on these ribbons here because they're getting reflected light off all this color, and then I've added cool shadows here because these shadows are reflecting off, somewhere they're coming from the sun, so these shadows probably should be cooler. I've also worked on edges to try to make a nice combination of some blurred edges and some not blurred edges. I really tried to work on getting these trees to work with the rest of this composition. I'm pretty happy with how that's coming together. So this is a part of this. It's not like the figures in front of everything, and these don't affect how you see the figure. So this shape, this negative space is all important part of the overall composition. I did a lot of playing with colors in here, and I'll zoom in closer so you can see. I've got pinks and greens and blues and stuff in here just to add lots of variety. There's some areas, these are all, the edges here are very soft because I didn't want focus here. My main focus is up here, okay? So if I had really hard edges down here, that would draw attention to that, and so I didn't want to draw attention down here, but I wanted to keep it up here. One of the compositional problems I have is this big circle here. Whenever you have a circle in a composition, your eye goes to that automatically. And so I needed, and I'm still working on it, trying to break this circle up so it's less circular and your eye goes to the face. And that should be the primary focal point, then probably the ribbons, and then probably that circle here. And so it's kind of a circular composition going on here as far as where your eye's going to travel throughout the composition. I'm fairly happy with the sky up here. I was going to add more detail it and work these clouds more, but I'm thinking I'm kind of happy with just how they're at. I'll probably play with some of this tree a little more. Some of the edges here where the tree meets the sky is a really important part to get that to work together. And probably, here I have very soft edges. You can't see how hard it is. Here these edges are a little bit harsh, and so I need to soften those up just a tiny bit as far as, and so You know, they're not real hard edges, and it's just a matter of going along the edges and just softening them, getting them to be just a little softer than what they are. You know, and it doesn't take long to do that. But otherwise, I would say I'm pretty close to done signing it, moving on to something new. Um, you know, one of the things I wanted to be careful of is anytime you have really strong color like yellow is really hard color to do it. Anytime you have a really strong color, you really need to modify it and calm it down in adding its complement into it so it's not as strong. And I did that in the shadows. Um, you know, just trying to keep those values down just a little bit. And you know, I've actually added some blue into these shadows. You can just barely see it, and you know, it helps make it work so it's not so overpowering. You know, the color can get way too overpowering, and you have to figure out a way to calm it down so it's not too strong. And I think I'm getting a happy medium here. I still love the beautiful strong colors, but I need to control those colors to make them work for me so the overall composition works together. So I hope you enjoy this. This is for my students and Emma Renee who really enjoy art and you know it's you know, this is what I do. This is fun. So notice how, you know, you're getting reflected light coming from here, hitting the ribbons here. Some of these are very cool. So, you know, the brushwork is still very loose, somewhat abstract. See all the different colors I use there. Very strong color here. And then the tree is fairly loose, just general shapes. I'll zoom back out.